We're back on the NPH Hour on News Talk Saga 960 AM. I'm your host, Jason Tom. I'm also lucky enough to be one of the voices on the broadcast of the Canadian Elite Basketball League, which will be back on the floor on June 24th with games in 7 cities across Canada. Last summer, the CEBL played their entire season in a bubble over the span of a few weeks, with games airing on CBC and the CBC Gem app, where you can now watch a documentary of what it took to pull all of that off. That was really the last time and the only time basketball has been played in Canada since the beginning of this pandemic. Now, Duane Notice is one of the main characters of that doc. Unfortunately, it includes him rupturing his Achilles just a few games into the tournament, but Duane is on his way back to pick up where his career left off. Duane Notice of the Hamilton Honey Badgers, formerly of the Raptors 905, recovering from a torn Achilles. Duane, it was heartbreaking to see the timing of that injury. So give us an update. Where are you currently on the road to recovery?
Right now, I'm like 10 months, I think. Post-operation, doing pretty well, just, working on my mental, working on my physical, doing some encore stuff with a couple guys, and just excited about the process, excited about coming back in the journey. I learned a lot about myself through this process, so it's been really exciting so far.
Talk to me about the mental side of it, because everybody's going through it right now, and you have kind of the double whammy of rehabbing during a pandemic. Just give us a little bit of insight there of what you've been battling and how you've maybe been able to try to get through day to day.
Yeah, for me, it's just, well, like you said, you hit it right on the nose. COVID, that was the first thing. So not really being allowed to be, consistent in my rehab because of the different lockdowns. Every week is something different. You can't do this, you can't do that. So it kind of, interferes with my schedule when I want to be as consistent as I want to be. But outside of that, just being able to have the love and support of my family physically, obviously I can't have that because of COVID as well. Can't really see, my family and being around loved ones as much as I'd like to. And I think that would help my spirits a lot throughout the process of recovering. But just mentally, my brother, he got hurt, unfortunately, at Mount Bird. He tore his ACL. So he's been through a tear before. Obviously, it's different from an Achilles rupture. But that's somebody that's been in my ear every day, who's been, kind of guiding me, which is kind of ironic because I'm the big brother. But he's been the one that's been kind of coaching me through the rehab process and letting me know what to expect and not to expect. So I prepared myself mentally for bad days and good days. And that's exactly what it is. Some days you wake up and you're feeling really, really good. And some days you're looking on Instagram and seeing all your friends play basketball and you're like, wow, like I wish I was playing basketball right now, especially through a pandemic. And then being, this is my first time I've never played basketball in a whole year. Like I've never, God's blessed me in my career where I've never had a serious injury. So I've never taken this much time off of basketball. So mentally it's been horrible because it's like, COVID, all the things that's going on in the world. And I usually go play basketball to kind of, release that stress. And I don't have that stress reliever anymore. So now I have to look towards other stuff to kind of get that.
You bring up your brother, and for those that don't know, Marcus Carr is your younger brother, and I had to look back too because I was thinking, okay, no, Duane must have injured himself before, but no, it was your brother that had torn his ACL. But I remember, because I've known you both for so long, I remember him telling me at the time of your mother's 72-hour rule. And then when I saw you after the injury down in St. Catharines, that was one of the first things I asked you. I was like, 72-hour rule, right? So for those that don't know that rule, what is it, and how has that helped both of you guys through your injuries?
72-hour rule is just basically the kind of my mom always tell my brother and I, whenever things happen, you can't really change it. It's the past. So, if you got hurt, if you got in trouble, if you did something wrong, something happened to you didn't like in your life, you kind of could, sit in your misery for 72 hours. But outside of that, she had like a cutoff zone where it's like, positive energy, get right back on your feet. We're not, wallowing in pity. We're not feeling sorry for ourselves. And I think that she implements that to us at a young age. And we've kind of had that be our thing, our kind of checks and balances throughout our lives when it comes to certain things that happen to us. So it's been pretty cool. And that's why you saw me at the arena right after my surgery, because I just kept thinking to myself, like, I could sit in this hospital, I could sit in the hotel room, I can go back to Toronto and just be around, my family who's probably going to baby me and be like, feel so bad for me that I just got hurt. or I can just, you know, it happened. I tore my Achilles. What's next? Like, you know, I like media, so I wanted to kind of get involved with that, and then also be there for my teammates, being around the game of basketball that I love. It kind of kept my spirits up. I forgot that I was hurt. Like, I forgot that I was on a scooter out there. Everybody was like, "Why are you here?" Like, but I had to because the 72-hour rule.
Duane really wrote a great blog out there on basketballnews.com just about the whole situation surrounding that injury. And I want to move forward. I don't want to stay on that. But the one thing that I think struck me was that the Honey Badgers make you their first signing for this season, you know, even not knowing, you know, when you're going to be back. How did that make you feel? And what does that say, again, about a new league, a new franchise, but the real feeling, the family feeling around that squad?
Well, first and foremost, the CEBL has been, you know, a great league. I'm just happy to be a part of it, and I appreciate all the support from the commissioner all the way down to the president of our team. And you know, seeing all the love that I get from them, making me their first signee, just show their support, and it just shows that it's deeper than basketball. Because, like you said, they don't even know if I'm playing this season or not, but they signed me just off the strength of the support and the love, and we've been in communication throughout the whole year. And it's just a testament to like the Hamilton Honey Badgers, and that's why I'm a part of the team.
You and I go way back, and we've talked about adversity a few times in your career. I remember one of the first one was you being cut by Roy Rana in an age group camp,
Yeah.
and then coming back as a better player, better person, better leader. And your brother Marcus went through it as well, transferring
Mm-hmm.
from Pitt, forced to sit out a year, really for no reason, especially for what we see in the NCAA now.
Yeah.
We have an entire senior class, any baller here in Canada, going through that same adversity. Kind of everyone's in the same group, but adversity builds character, and it usually makes people better coming out of it. What advice do you have for these kids that are still sitting at home, not able to play the game that they love?
I mean, for me, it's like you just said, my brother and I, every level we've hit adversity. On the outside looking in, it's probably not that way. Everybody thinks that we get things handed to us, but everything's, you know, earned, not given. And like you said, we've all been through situations, my brother and I, where we've been cut from teams, told we're not good enough, you know, injuries, et cetera, et cetera. So for anybody who's young and growing up and, you know, working to kind of make this their lifestyle and their livelihood and make this dream a reality, I would just say to continue pushing. For me, I always wrote things down because I'm a visual learner. So I always like, you know, had a little book, a little journal that I'd write these things down. So believe it or not, those days where I would get cut, I would write that down. I'd write goals to physically make sure that I could hold myself accountable every day. So that, you know, next year when I try out for Team Canada, I'm invited back to the camp that, you know, I've worked on these things. So I know I'm better. So that, you know, in the exit meeting, like for example, when I had got cut again with the senior team in Australia, and when Nick Nurse and Rowan had, you know, told me what the situation was, I went back to my room and I wrote it down. Like, all right, so next year I'm gonna come back and they can't say this about my game, or they can't say this, that, and the third. I'm gonna put them in the worst position that they can't cut me no more, like, you know, whatever the case may be. So that's just my advice, is to write things down, because when things are tangible and you can see them on an everyday basis, then you can really comprehend, like, okay, am I doing this? I said I was going to get 500 shots up by the end of this week. I didn't do it. Like, I could see I didn't do it. So that's just my advice. For me to kind of keep my goals and my mentality on straight, is I like to write things down. I know my brother does the same thing. I know we're really big on meditation, and we're really big on like visual meditation and stuff like that. So, you know, before we play games, like, I'm visualizing the whole game. I'm visualizing my makes, my misses, like all the bad things that happen, a part of this game and a part of this life, like getting cut. Like, I visualize things like that. So there's a difference between manifesting like positive things, but also being realist and also visualizing what could possibly happen in any scenario. So for any kid growing up, continue to work hard. It's not the end of the world. Like, you get cut from a team, you make the same team in less than a year. So, you know, my thing is like, continue to work hard and show them that, you know, you're able to kind of take that constructive criticism and get better and be in a better position next year.
One of the great
Mm-hmm.
things during the pandemic, though, was following along on social media while you're watching Marcus ball out, and taking your brother hat off for a second as a basketball player. What
Mm-hmm.
did you see from him this season that has gotten him ready to now be in the NBA draft?
Oh man, like, his IQ is tremendous. I tell him all the time. It's funny because people are always like, you know, would you, like, my brother and I, because we play basketball at such a high level, we don't really talk about basketball. Like, that's not the conversation that him and I have. That's not a dialogue that we share every day. Like, we talk on FaceTime every couple of days, and we text every day, and we don't talk about basketball. At most, sometimes if he has like, you know, a really bad game, or if he'll reach out for advice, I'll give it to him and let him know what I've seen here or there. I might drop a little pointers, but for the most part, I know what position he's in, because I used to be in that position where after a game, you have everybody talking to you. You should have did this. You have uncles, you have our Jamaican aunts and uncles who've never played basketball before. You should have scored 50. You should have did this. Like, so I understand how it is. So I really was impressed by him, just his work ethic, because before this past season, he was down here in Toronto working out. And him and Vidal, they was getting it in like every day. And this is when I had just left the CEBL bubble. The tournament had just finished. So I had the blessings of watching him work out every day for like, I want to say a month and a half, 2 months before he went back to school. And I know everybody, to them, they might think like, what's the big deal? But my brother and I are never like, we've never consistently been in the same city, spent time together, been around each other for a long time, more than a month. And since we were both like, once I was like 13 and he was like, you know, 7, 8 years old. Like, so for us to be in that space, be in a gym together, watch film together, see him get better, and then see whatever he worked on, like coming to fruition throughout the season, like there was no better feeling. Like I really had to just like, I'm like, man, I remember when he worked on this dead leg move right here. I remember when he worked on the tween, and to see it all kind of happen, it was really cool. And then for him, I told him like, man, getting double teamed in college, facing all these different defensive schemes and pressures, like I don't know how you do it. Then he's playing 40 minutes almost. I think he averaged like 38 point something minutes a game. He led his conference in minutes. So I'm like, you doing all that and you playing the point and you playing defense? I'm like, man, I had to tip my hat off to him. Like he was doing a lot of things, and I think he's gonna have a really special career, and hopefully, God willing, it'll be in the NBA.
I mean, just an absolutely awesome story. I remember getting you guys in the gym at St. Mike's. You're talking about that, how hard it was to get you guys both in the same spot at the same time. And really special to see your relationship. And then I think the other one is the relationship you have, with your Team Canada brethren as well, right? You're one of the 40 players that competed in those Olympic qualifying windows. And now here we are, last chance to qualify for the Olympics. You're obviously going to be watching it. What would it mean to you and all those other guys that sacrificed to be a part of those windows to see a crew go out in Victoria here at home and be able to compete for an Olympic berth?
I mean, that's what you play for. You play to try and compete for the Olympics. So being a part of the whole Team Canada process has been tremendous for me, because it's like seeing the way basketball has continued to grow in our country, seeing how much talent we have. Getting to a place where it's like, yeah, we have NBA players and we have players overseas and we have players who are not overseas, but they're all in the same, they're in a similar level and the same talent pool, to me is like incredible. Having an issue now where before it's probably like hard to get talent. Now it's like we have so much talent. It's like, how do we put the right pieces together? So just being a part of that journey and, helping them qualify for the World Cup, FIBA World Cup, or playing with different players has been cool, because you get to see the growth of everybody. And then, to see players playing the NBA and then sacrifice and come play for their country is also really cool as well. So if they're able to, like you said, secure that opportunity, especially in Canada, and then, make the Olympics, I think it'll be everything that we all worked for. All these windows that we've been going through, all the traveling, all the different coaches, all the different players and all that. Like, I think it'll all be worth it. And it's what we do this for.
Duane Notice, still just 26 years old, but, feel like a veteran of this game, and seeing where we are, where we have a league now that's here in Canada, the CBL, that's 70% Canadian rosters. We hopefully booking our ticket to the Olympics, more players in the NBA than ever. Hopefully your brother being the next one. It's been amazing to be on this journey with you, Duane, and the fact that you've had that smile on your face through all of this stuff throughout it, man. I've learned a lot from you, and I'm looking forward to this interview getting out and players at home understanding here on the NPH Hour what Duane Notice is about and what Canada basketball is about, man. Thank you so much for taking the time today.
No, thank you. I appreciate it. Like you said, our relationship goes back, and I have so many different memories of us. And I remember when you first just started out. So just to see your growth and see you come to this point has been cool. Like being a mentor in the space to me, I really appreciate it. And thank you for having me.
Duane is someone I've known and covered since he was in high school, and we often talk about the growth of the game here in Canada that has mirrored his own growth as a player, allowing him to play professionally for the last 3 years right here in Canada. But another player I've known for about the same length of time is Duane Notice, who is a few years older than Duane and has plied his trade overseas, which has led to some amazing opportunities and some great content on social media. Duane Notice is next on the NPH Hour here on News Talk Saga 960 AM.